Hello, fellow world wanderers, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ritika, and much like life, this YouTube channel has no point to it. But it exists, so we might as well have fun with it and see where it goes. I'm as clueless about this as the next person. For my first video, I wanted to go over the basics of tarot card reading, the way I practice it. For anyone who is curious about tarot card or who wants to start practicing, and I do believe in the supernatural. I think it's too self-absorbed to think that us humans and the world that we have created is all that there is to this universe. So I can start with the story of how I found my philosophy. I used to be an atheist. I saw how organized religion seemed to only be a tool of oppression, and it lifted my faith in any form of divinity. What restored my faith in something supernatural, not in organized religion, was a physics class. We were learning about the anomalous expansion of water. Probably everyone knows it, but in short, all substances will increase in density or will contract when cooled and will expand when heated. It is the same for water, with the exception that from 4 to 0 degrees, which is the freezing point for water, it expands as it is cooled. So this does not seem to relate to the existence of a god, but how it applies practically is that when lakes freeze over, the ice is less dense, so it comes on top of the rest of the water. The water beneath stays liquid, and it remains conducive to life. So to me, this was proof that the universe is maybe not as arbitrary as it might seem. So it is designed in a way that it promotes life and eventually sentience. So I believe in God the Creator, but not in God the Omniscient Creator. Which brings me to fate and tarot and how we understand it. So to me, the biggest thing that tarot does is solve the dilemma between whether things are up to fate or whether you make your own destiny. Fate is like a loose network. So some things are up to fate. It's like an outline, a plan too large for us to pinpoint exactly. But while we are insignificant in the face of that larger plan, it connects with our own lives in minor ways. So in some ways, destiny is pre-written, so to speak, but most of the stuff around that is not fixed and it's ever changing. So the deck that I use has 78 cards. It's divided into 2 arcanas, the major arcana with 22 cards and the minor with 56 cards. I will start by talking about the minor arcana. This is much like playing cards that are in common use. I have a deck of those right here. So how it is like playing cards is that there are 4 suits, which are different according to different packs that you have, because different symbols are used by different practitioners. The ones that I use are wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. See, this is the 5 of wands, ace of cups, 7 of swords, ace of pentacles. These relate to different things as in a normal pack of cards. So the wands relate to clubs in a normal pack and to the element of fire. The cups relate to hearts and the element of water. The swords relate to spades. You cannot find any spades. There are no spades. Spades. Yeah. So the swords relate to spades and the element of air, and the pentacles relate to diamonds and the element of earth. These each have 14 cards, which is an ace, like so, the first card. Then there are 9 numbered cards, go from 2 to 10, and then code cards. Now in playing cards, there are 3 kinds of court cards. There's the queen, there's the jack, and there's the king. In tarot there are four. We've got the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. The suits relate to different aspects of a person's life. For example, pentacles. That's not. Pentacles relate to the material world. So stuff like money, wealth, property. Cups relate to the emotional aspect of a person's life, relationships, friendships, mental health, I guess. This is helpful because it gives a more nuanced perspective of a person's life, because you can see different aspects of them as represented through different suits. The court cards, as I mentioned, like the knight, for instance, knight of pentacles. The court cards represent people in someone's lives who would be important in achieving certain goals depending on whatever the question is that has been asked. The minor arcana offers a great deal of advice because it represents that part of your life which is still in your hands to shape. Which brings us to the major arcana. This represents that part of your life which is up to fate or other external factors, external sources, fixed aspects basically that we cannot really help. So it helps you to come to terms with the unchanging and how best to proceed in a situation which you no longer have in control. For example, this card number 3, which is the Empress. It represents a strong feminine presence. Major arcana cards, there are 22 of them in the deck that I have, but in other decks there might be more, and there might be different iconographies. Maybe they won't have the Chariot, they will have some other sort of card. The first card, or card number 0 rather, is the Fool. This is quite like the Joker in a traditional pack of cards. When the Fool appears in a reading, it means that no harm can come to you if you take a risk, and you can expect the unexpected. Unconventional people will enter your life, stuff like that. So these cards, the major arcana cards, they are less specific to a condition. They don't really give advice that is specific to a certain aspect of your life, but they are more nuanced. They offer more insight into whatever it is that you have asked. Now that the different kinds of cards are out of the way, I will give a brief overview of how tarot works for people who want to try it. So first of all, if you don't believe in tarot and you're just trying to be skeptic, get a reading done to prove that it doesn't work or to mock at it, just don't bother. People invest their energy into it, and it is highly disrespectful to someone's belief system. You are entitled to your doubts and your beliefs or your lack thereof, and you can go ahead and propagate those beliefs. But don't come to people who hold their own beliefs and force your non-beliefs on them. Find a different hobby, like a painting or something. For those who are starting to practice, first of all, have patience. I have been doing this for over 7 years. The cards need to get used to you and your energy before you can make even a half-accurate reading. So for the first 6 months or so, after you get your cards, don't read for anyone other than yourself. Okay, carry your cards around with you. Keep them in a bag, like so, or a wooden box. Sleep with them nearby. Keep shuffling them, and whenever you shuffle, whenever it feels right to you, when you're shuffling, simply invert some cards, like so. What happens this way is, I am inverting some cards, and now if an inverted card shows up in a reading, it changes the meaning of the card. Maybe a positive card becomes negative, a negative card becomes positive, stuff like that. So it's important that you keep that in mind when you're shuffling cards. Another thing is, never touch anyone else's cards without their express permission, and do not let anybody touch your cards without your permission. It's bad luck. You're already doing tarot. It's okay to be superstitious. When it comes to reading for someone, people use different methods. Some may ask the clients to pick out cards, like pick out 3 cards. What I do is I start shuffling and I ask my clients to tell me to stop when they feel right, and once they tell me to stop, I lay out the cards in order, like that. So there are several spreads you can use. Like there's the horoscope spread. It gives you 12 different aspects of your life, or it can show you the next 12 months of your life. So I will demonstrate a simple 3 card spread for right now. It's very adaptable. It can be used for many things, and one of those is to represent the past, present and future. Now this can you can ask your client what they wish to know about, and it can be something generic, like say someone asks about their career, or it can be something more specific, like their relationship with their mother. So you shuffle the cards, come out. There's 3 cards. I'm not going to use the tarot deck to show this because that seems a bit disrespectful. So imagine this is tarot deck. You put 3 cards forward. The past card, the first card is the past card, going from left to right. It represents the influences that past decisions or past events still have and will continue to have in the future. So the past is very important in a tarot reading. It's not all about what will happen in the future. The middle card is the present card, and that can extend to the recent past and the near future as well. And then the third card, the final card, is the future card. The thing about telling future through tarot is that there are 2 futures. There's your future before you do a reading, and there's your future after you do a reading. So the future you see in a card, it's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, in that future shows what is going to happen now that you have done the reading and now that you know what you know through this reading. And in case you are curious, I have had clients who made me do the same reading over and over again because they wanted to prove that the reading will be different each time, and therefore it's inaccurate and not real. So don't do this even if someone asks you to do it, because the readings just keep coming out darker and worse and worse. Now, how the cards function is not arbitrary. There is a certain method to it. They work on vibes, which has started to sound ridiculous after all the memes, but let me explain. We all have an energy or an aura around us, something definitive that is like a part of who we are. For example, imagine you are in a waiting room and you're looking at a book or at your phone, and you aren't really paying attention to people who are coming in and going out. Then someone walks in and you feel a compulsion to suddenly look up, and this might happen because some auras are stronger or more uncontrolled than others, and that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. And some auras are just familiar, like your friend. You would recognize them more easily if they're in a marketplace, even if you don't directly look at them. You would feel like, oh, someone familiar is nearby. So that is sort of how vibes work. So when you're reading for a person, for a client, you need to suppress your own energies. In a sense, forget that you even exist. You just no longer exist now. And your focus needs to be on the client, on their presence beyond the physical. Like that feeling you get when someone is staring at you, but you cannot really see them staring at you. So focus on that sort of energy that comes from every person. While you shuffle your cards, ask your client to also focus on the question that they have asked you, and then you can either ask them to make you stop when they feel right, or to pick out the cards. If they are more major arcana cards, then whatever is going on, the question that has been asked, it is up to fate now. There isn't much they can do, but the cards will offer some kind of advice. And if there are more minor arcana cards, then there is greater room for free will. Now the thing about tarot is, it is true that a lot of the interpretations, the meanings that the cards show is very vague. It's something that can apply to literally anyone. For instance, I open this to a random page, the Eight of Swords, which says a run of bad luck, feeling of being trapped and powerless. Now see, this is applicable to pretty much everyone in usual situations. It just comes up in everyone's life, a run of bad luck. That's just how it be like that sometimes. What you need to do in this case is that you need to ask your client certain questions relating to their lives, to the particular circumstance, to the specific question they have asked. So you can interpret the reading according to how it applies to their life and not just as a generic advice thing, because we don't want to give them platitudes. We want to give them actual advice that can be used practically. So if you don't believe in tarot, that's all well and good. We all have our beliefs. If you do believe in it and are beginning to practice, then leave a comment about whether this was helpful and what your own experiences have been. Now this was a very basic idea. Tarot is much more nuanced, of course, and it has a lot of other uses, not just for fortune telling. This channel will have similar content from such topics, witchcraft and such, but I would also be putting up like some fun stories and literature related stuff, maybe music edits, challenges, activities. It will be all over the place. Even if you don't enjoy the occult, maybe you will find something else here that you enjoy, so please subscribe and hang around. The thing is permanent, might as well give me a try. So, thanks a lot for watching, and there is a link in the description for my joint channel with my best friend. It's called Natural Calamities. Check it out, and I will see you next time with another disaster. Bye!